Been
Oh,
across, but I think we're live. Hi guys, happy Thursday. I haven't been live in a long time, but I definitely wanted to come in and share about Yiming Ding, my athlete. We've been working together for the past year, but all of her success over the year, I just couldn't keep it a secret. And you guys have seen about her. Actually, we posted a lot at the beginning of your journey, right? So let's go back. I appreciate you because you just sent me your Rockstar notes, which we'll be sending that information out. But let's get into when you first contacted me, like what made you want to learn how to ride a bike? Well, first of all, introduce yourself.
oh yeah, sure. My name is Yiming, and I've been with Full Circle for a year. Um, I I used to be a runner. Before I moved to Miami like a year and a half ago. Before I moved to Miami, I ran a lot, maybe like one half marathon a year. But when I moved to Miami, it got a little hot. So I started to learn swimming. Um, and then after I learned I learned freestyle and I was like, okay, I run and I swim. If I can bike, I can do a triathlon.
Yeah, and where'd you move
So
from? Where did you move from?
I moved from Chicago.
Okay. Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference. Temperature wise.
Yes. Um, but yeah, but you know, I was not very comfortable on a bike. I've never ridden a road bike before. Uh, so I was searching for a coach who can get me started on the bike and also on the whole triathlon thing. So I came across, I talked to a few groups, and I think Erin was uh stood out to me because she was has so much expertise and good advices even on like a 15-minute call.
Right.
So
Yeah,
we get started.
I have to say, you did interview me hard. You had a lot of questions and you were very methodical. So, what do you do for a living? Let's get that because that's part of your personality.
Sure. I work in finance, and I look at stock data and how to trade these instruments. So I'm a pretty kind of data-driven person.
Yeah, and I love that, right? So, I love the data. And even though you didn't know anything about triathlon data, right, we still did get into that. And that was kind of exciting. That's how you actually improved so quickly. Okay, so you wanted to do a try, and we had our first bike session after you gave me the hard interview, which I love. And we literally had to start from zero, right? You didn't know how to even put your foot on the pedal and push off and pedal, right? I
Yes.
had to hold your seat the first time we rode together. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, I did not know how to get on a bike like when a seat is high
Right.
because my feet would be above the ground, so I don't know what to what to
Right.
do.
It's scary. It's a little bit scary. And we didn't start with clips right away. Remember, I had
Sure.
you pedal just with your sneakers on flat pedals, but then we transitioned to the clips and you had no issues. Yeah, and you had a great transition. But how did you feel when you first started cycling? Especially in Miami, it can be a little scary with all the cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, the handling was we started with ha doing some handling drills in the parking lot, right? So that definitely helped. I don't think I could go on the road right off the bat
No.
because that's that would
It's just
be
not
really
safe.
dangerous.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not safe. Yeah, I taught you how to ride with one hand. I taught you how to drink from the bike while you're pedaling.
Yes.
We taught you how to turn, how to stop and start, how to do figure eights. Because, cycling is dangerous by itself, but in Miami, it's even more dangerous. So you really need to be connected to your bike. So whenever I have a new athlete, I actually vet them before they're ever allowed to go on a group ride with us.
Right.
You learned really quickly. Like it's not like you weren't coordinated and you picked it up quickly. And then we got you on the clips. And did you feel like a huge difference when you started riding with the clips versus just your tennis shoes on the pedals?
Yeah, I think I feel a lot more interestingly, I felt a lot more safe.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
because I wouldn't need to worry about like my feet slipping on the pedal.
Exactly. You actually are safer with your feet clipped in because you have 5 points of contact that are like locked in, your hands, your butt, and the 2 feet. And you're exactly right. It's way easier for your feet to slip off the pedal when you just have a sneaker. So and The bench
Right.
is you have the whole pedal stroke. So you're stronger and faster with clips.
Yes, yeah, of course. I think when I go up hill or bridge, I can feel it a lot more
Yeah,
because I can pull and push with the
exactly.
clips.
A
Yeah.
whole circle. You can use the whole circle, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, so then you had already signed up for Miami, man. I'm pretty sure when you reached out to me, but you're like, I didn't you sign up for the race and then you were like, oh yeah, I don't know how to ride a bike. Right?
I set my mind to do it. Yeah, I was
Okay,
pretty set on doing it.
right.
But then I read
But we only had like I think we had 6 weeks, if I'm not
yes.
mistaken, right?
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
like last October or whatever, and I'm like, we can do it. I'm confident that I can teach anyone how to get there. I mean, it wasn't your best race ever, right? But we'll get to that because you did end up doing some great stuff in about 6 months. But anyway, so you decided, okay, you're in after you got the cycling skills. But I did want to talk about the nutrition side of things because when people start training for a try, they kind of get excited. And I remember that first couple of weeks, there was one week like you did so much and it was not in your training plan, and I was like,
Yes.
what are you doing? And then what happened? You got sick, right?
Yeah.
So talk
Yeah,
to
I
that.
think I got sick right before
The race.
the race.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and we were like, I wasn't worried because we did have a couple of weeks together. But when I look back and and I would see that you posted workouts, I'm like, well, your bike ride was supposed to be like 20 miles, and then you did 20 miles, and the next day you did like 30 or whatever. Like
Right.
it was just way too much. And when this is what happens is like athletes get so excited about doing, and it feels so good to do. But if you don't gradually build up, it really stresses your body more, and
Yes.
you weren't eating enough while you were training. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think I wasn't eating like on a few bike rides. I just hit a wall because I didn't have any
Nutrition.
nutrition with me. Uh I think that was a lesson I had to learn
Yeah.
along the way that I during the longer workouts you can't get away without eating.
No, you cannot.
Yeah.
And you're not training once a week, right? You're training daily for this
Yes.
for the try. You're swimming, you're biking, and you're running. If you show up to a workout without being fueled up, and there's different ways of doing it. Even to lose weight, you still need to have some energy to get through the workout. Otherwise, your body perceives way too much stress, and you actually affect your immune system. And like what happened is you got sick, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, am I gonna be okay? And I was like, yes, you're gonna be totally fine because you had some fitness before, but we did rest. I feel like you rested like almost 10 days. And then you had a little bit of
Yes.
training, and then you came and did the race. So how did the first triathlon feel? How did you like it?
Wow, it feels so long ago. I guess it's a year ago.
Yeah,
Um, but I think I just took it pretty easy.
yeah.
And the swim was a lake swim, which was different from what we
The ocean.
normally do, the ocean swim.
Yeah.
So it felt a little heavy, but that's okay. And then the bike, I think at the time still didn't have clips. So I just kind of held back and did a uh like a moderate pace.
Right. You were
And I think on
conservative,
the
you're holding back. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, because I just want to finish it. And then the run, I got lost on the course, I think.
Hmm.
And I ran like extra zero point 0.5 miles, but I still felt great when I finished. So that's
Was,
good.
was it like a good sense of accomplishment?
Yeah, I think I think it's just the actual act of finishing it was my goal, and that already felt good.
Yeah, and I do want to, just warn everybody or help everybody be alert that the Miami Man course is different, and the water, when you feel heavy in the water, it kind of can
Yeah.
freak you out a little bit just because especially if you're training in the ocean and the pool's different, but the ocean helps you float more, right? So you start that race and you're like, oh, like I'm not really going anywhere. And because you have to really master that buoyancy piece, right? And we'll get to how good of a swimmer you became because you really, really mastered the swimming, and you were still learning. That was your first race, right? So I commend you for pushing through that swim. And yes, the bike course, I mean, the bike course is like windy, so if you had clips it would have been a little bit better, but it was your first try. And then the run course is a little bit confusing, so if you have no one in front of you, you can miss a turn or a turnaround, right? So it's great that you found your way and got the job done. And so when you finished that race, I remember I asked you, what is your next goal? And you said, I want to get on the
I think,
podium.
oh yeah, I said I want to get a podium. I want to do Olympic
Uh,
distance.
yeah. And I said, okay, let's
Yeah.
get to work, and then we definitely got you on the clips as soon as possible. Yeah, and so you started to come into the group classes and the track workouts. Remember, we got you faster on the run, we got you stronger on the bike, doing intervals, right? Building up
Hmm.
speed and your leg strength. And you never transitioned to a tri bike, right? You were on a road bike the whole time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And you still have that road bike. So that's good. So we trained through the winter and then we came to the spring and you did your next triathlon. And what happened?
I think a podium that time, did I?
Good. You definitely did. It was the March race with integrity again. But yeah, I was like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah. I had like I did like a one like a quarter Olympic sprint, I think.
Yes, so it
For
was the shorter
yeah.
sprint. Yep, the shorter sprint. They had a super, it was like a super sprint. They did two races like that in the spring that were like shorter sprints. So it's only a 2 mile run. I believe it was still like the 8 mile bike ride, but the swim was a little shorter as well. I think. I don't really remember. But anyway, so you were on the
Right.
podium, so you achieved that goal, right? So you were like, okay, what's next?
I think we were saying I wanted to do a longer race.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to the like build up to the Olympic distance.
Yes.
Um, but I think I did another like half Olympic race before
Yeah,
I build up to the Olympic
yeah,
one, right?
you did it was the long sprint. So it was a
Yeah,
4 mile
long sprint.
run. It was two loops on the bike, so it was 16 mile bike. And I think the swim was like, I'm pretty sure the swim was still like 1,000. So I don't know how different it was. I think the run was just a little bit shorter than the 6 miles for the 3 loops on the run for the
Right.
for the full Olympic. Yeah. And
Yeah.
did you like the Olympic compared to the sprint?
Olympic was um like it's you really need to dial in like the training. I feel like for me, the week before or maybe 2 weeks before the Olympic race, um I Aaron had us do like a mock race, right? On the weekend. And then
Mhm.
that weekend I did it was so hard. Um I was so scared. Like I think I put the swim and the bike was okay on that mock race.
Mhm.
But then on the run I pushed out way too hard.
Right.
So I like hit a wall very early, like 2 miles out. And I was supposed to run 6 miles. So and then I had a very, very hard run. So the lesson I learned the lesson that day that I need to hold back on the run.
Yeah.
That actually helped me a lot on the race day.
Yeah, so pacing, so it's completely different from that 2 mile sprint try, right? Or
Yes.
even the 4 mile sprint try. You can't get away with pushing that hard in the beginning because you will hit that wall. But at this point, you had already been training with us for like 6 months. So you did understand the nutrition and you were eating enough. But it was hot. I remember that training day
It was
was
hot.
that day, and you were like, oh no, I'm not gonna make it. I'm like, yes, you are. You're gonna make it. You just need to dial back and pace yourself better for that full 6 miles of running, right? It's just a
Yeah.
completely different animal, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I held back. I paced myself on the race day. It was pretty hot. I think it's in the 80s for sure.
Yeah,
Uh, but but yeah, I was able to finish it with I think the time that I was pretty happy with.
right.
Yeah.
Did you do your tri-calc 3 for that day, that estimation that we do?
Oh, I did, and I think I hit it like
Right
very
on.
accurately.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that I love that tool because especially just helps you have an idea in your head that this is what you're capable of based on your training, right? You know you how fast you swim per 100, you know how fast your mile per hour is on the bike, and you know how fast your run pace now that we did that mock try and you're pacing yourself. So when you add it all together and you include your transitions, you can really come up with that hard time. And when you finish well, it's actually sending the intention to the universe. Like this is the time that this is my goal, right? You're drawing a line in the sand. And when you hit it, you know that you raced well, right? nothing was out of the ordinary in the swim, the bike, or the run. You were able to handle everything. You timed your nutrition and you timed your pacing. So that's actually really, really important, especially when you want to try to do a longer race, right? So if you ever in the future want to do a half Ironman or Ironman, that's even more important. So that was a big lesson learned. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then what happened after that? This is like I think this is May. We're in May at this
Yeah.
of this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think after that, actually after that I think started training for the alligator swim, right? I
So what
think
made you want to do that? Was it just me talking about it?
no, actually I learned about that race a year ago
Really?
when I first started learning swimming, and I was
Oh,
like, this race looks interesting, but there's no way I could do it
right, not
because
solo.
I just started.
Yeah, not solo. But
Yeah, not
you could totally do it.
I wasn't even sure I could do it in a relay team because I just started learning swimming at the time.
Yeah.
But then I think in May I felt like I could definitely swim like two miles at least. So I was initially planning to do a three-person relay.
Mhm.
But then things happen and I think also Erin suggested that two-person relay would be easier to coordinate.
Yeah.
So I started training for the two-person, which requires like a 4 mile total swim per person.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
finding the right partner is key, right?
Yeah, that's true. And Aaron suggested my partner
Yes.
who was really really great, Daniel. Um and then yeah, we had a great race day, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to that. So Daniel Alvarez, yes, he had done the race before, and I know what a great swimmer he is. He's been with us for a few years, and I'm like, you guys would be a great team together. And you had up leveled your swimming so much. I was totally confident that you would have a great, team and also produce a great result. So then I would love to say, like, when you know how I do the numbers, we test you, we assess you when you first start training or every 6 to 8 weeks. And right, we do these swim tests, bike tests, run tests, but swimming in particular, we were more into the numbers because I really wanted you to kind of get as fast as possible so that you could, push a little bit higher intensity for those 15 to 20-minute pushes while you were swimming and then kayaking and swimming and kayaking. So when we tested you back in October, you just put the numbers. Your 400 swim test was a 10:36. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was
So for
October.
400 meters, because you have a
For
meter.
neither.
Yeah, so that does matter. Meters is longer, so you do want to know that it's a meter pool. And we worked really, really hard. And I was like so confident you were going to break the 2 minute per 100 pace, and you were so close, but you just tested again after alligator just because I know you had so much fitness and your technique is so good. You got to an 8:02. So that's 2.5, almost, yeah, 2.5 minutes faster. That is, you have no idea what a huge improvement that is in 1 year for swimming. Swimming takes years to get really, really efficient and proficient. And I just want to really celebrate your attention to detail because we would do the videos and you would watch the videos, right? And you would make the correction. Your ability to be aware of your body in the water is exceptional because most people don't have body awareness in the water. It takes them a longer time to get there. It happens, but it can take time, right? So to take that much time off of your 400 time is like so, so awesome. And you were so close to getting under that eight
I
minute
know.
mark. I was like, oh,
I
maybe,
know, yeah.
you know what? If you had had Daniel there, like swimming next to you or someone a little bit faster, you could have kind of paced yourself a little bit better. I bet you would have gotten it. I bet
Right,
you would
right.
have.
Yeah, pacing definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about the race then, because sorry, I have something on my back. So let's talk about the race. So, you did the training, you and Daniel were in the ocean. We got on the kayak and practiced transitioning. The Alligator Lighthouse, I've done that race 9 times. I love it. I mean, it's like my favorite event. So I try to get as many people to do it, but just because it up levels your swim ability so, so, so much. So was there anything along the journey through the summer when you were training for the race, was there anything that came to mind that you were worried about sea life or the jellyfish, right? That was a concern. right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what about but just being in the open ocean or the kayak? How did you feel about all that stuff?
Yeah, I think by the time of the race, I was pretty confident I can swim the 4 miles with intervals, of
Yeah.
course. But up until like 2 weeks before the race, or 2 or 3 weeks before the race, I hadn't touched a kayak for years, right? And
Right.
um, actually, we had this practice weekend with Aaron and
Oh
some
yeah.
athletes on the
I
kayak,
remember.
and I just freaked out because I couldn't kayak.
Yeah, it was bad,
Uh,
you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, she has to spend the next 2 weeks as many practices as she can get in a kayak because it was really, really windy the day we practiced. And honestly, sometimes Alligator Lighthouse is that windy and wavy. And you weren't remember I had you like go around the buoy and you're like, you
yeah, that was so
turn
hard.
around the buoy, and I'm like, okay, okay, we need to have lessons here. Right. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that you really took it seriously. And I think that was a I'm so happy we had that practice. Um,
Yes.
just because that would have been a nightmare if you couldn't, kayak and move while Daniel was swimming. That's part of the race. As a two-person team, what happens is one person starts as a swimmer and then the other person is kayaking, and then you decide how often you're going to switch. And I have my recommendations on having the fastest race, right? And Daniel had already done it before, so he had that experience. So you did go and practice with him a couple times, and then you and I had another practice on the kayak, right? And I was
Yeah.
the race too, so it worked out great. We trained together that day, on the key, taking turns, because it is hard work. Did you find it hard to get in and out of the kayak, like during the race at all?
I think in the beginning it was okay, but on the way back it was definitely harder.
Yeah, because you're
Um,
tired, right? It's harder to pull yourself in and twist your butt into the seat without
yes.
tipping the kayak over, and your arms are tired, right? Did you guys end up with a foot pedal kayak or a normal kayak?
No, we had a normal kayak. It's very hard to get a it's almost impossible. I called like every single kayak rental. But I think it's not as bad as I thought, like
Right.
a normal kayak because the day of the race it was not super wavy or windy.
Yeah. We totally lucked out on the
Yeah.
conditions, right? I mean, honestly, in the this is the ninth year I've been there, and I've never seen it this flat at the start, and I never had seen it with the waves being the opposite direction, where we had a tailwind
Oh
and
right, yeah.
with us. Yeah, we had a tailwind and current with us on the way out, and then on the way back, because the wind was like coming from the north, the 4 to 6 miles was the choppiest, right? So who got to start the race? Did
I
you
started the race
Was it
and
hectic? Did you feel fine starting it, or were you fine?
um my goggle was kind of weird in the beginning, so I had to like stop a couple of times to fix my goggle. But other than that, it was good. I was in the beginning, initially before the race, I was very worried about not being able to find the kayak. But then Daniel was so experienced, so he parked at like the very first place I can see him. So
Right.
I found him very easily. Um, and then we got paired up.
That's awesome. Okay, so then you swim and then you started switching. How often did you guys switch?
We switched every 20, I think, or 20 or 25 in
Okay.
the beginning.
Right. That's awesome.
And around the lighthouse, Daniel rounded the lighthouse. So I think that leg and the leg before we swam a little longer, like 30 minutes, so that we don't have to switch again before
Okay.
rounding.
Yeah.
Because you cannot switch when you round because of the
No.
currents.
Yes, exactly. The waves would push you into the lighthouse, so you definitely don't want to switch in the middle of that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So the good news was did you see any jellyfish?
I didn't see a single one, I think.
I know,
Or
you
maybe
guys,
I'm just
it's a
too
miracle.
nervous swimming.
That is a freaking miracle. I have never done that race where there was not like thousands of jellyfish. So you have
That's
no idea
crazy.
how lucky we were this year. So I only saw two ones, and they were really really deep. So lucky. So then when you were heading back, did you feel a difference in the current when you were heading back? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it got choppier
Yeah.
on the kayak when I think I was on the kayak in the beginning when
Yeah.
we head back, and also in the water.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I was at some point I was swimming quite slow, probably a combination of being tired and the current.
Yes. And how was
Yeah.
your fueling? Like, did you feel like you ate enough during the race?
I did eat enough, and one thing that I was very one two lessons I learned were open the feed beforehand. I have
Yeah, it's
such a hard
hard
time opening them.
because they're wet. You're
Uh
wet, right? You're wet and it's
yes.
plastic. And yes, I cut all mine a little bit so that it was easier to get to, like just with a little snippet with the scissors, not so that stuff would leak out, but just so that I
Yeah, yeah,
get the turn, the cut. Yeah.
exactly. And the second thing I learned was I was considering having a bottle without Vitargo,
Uh-huh.
just in case I o feel like I'm gonna overeat.
Yeah.
But I was so grateful that so I felt so happy that I put Vitargo in all of them because I actually did not have that much time to eat.
Mhm.
So the calories in the water in my bottle helps me a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about Vitargo. So Vitargo is my favorite sports drink because it only has one ingredient. Did you put electrolytes in there with it? Yeah.
Yes.
So I recommend the plain Vitargo because it doesn't have any sucralose, which is Splenda, which is toxic poison. Please don't eat that. So I love the Vitargo just because it's a super clean carbohydrate, and then you can add some flavored electrolytes or whatever. Did you do that? What flavor did you use?
I had like multi-pack, meaning like multiple flavors.
Okay, cool. So because you want it to taste good, right? Because when
Yeah.
you're in an event, an endurance event, you want to taste good, like so that you're willing to drink it. So because even if you sometimes if you have things that taste really, really bad and you have to force yourself to eat it or drink it, you're not going to. And that can cause a whole nother disaster. So it was great because I finished the race and I finished it in like 5:06 and I was so mad because I didn't have the race that I wanted. And Daniel ran up to me and
Um,
said, "We beat you." And I was like, "Awesome." I'm like, "I never saw you go by. Did you guys see me? Did you guys see me go by?"
I don't think so. I saw
You
Hilda,
passed
but
me
I didn't see
somewhere.
you.
Yeah, you guys passed me somewhere. So I was so proud of you. What was your time?
We were 4:55.
Yeah, that's awesome. You have no idea how good that is. Like, that's such a great time. And I think you guys got like eighth place or something like that. You got like top 10 in your category, right?
Yeah.
Mi- Mixed relay. Awesome. Well, how did it feel when you finished?
Um, Felt good. I think initially we planned that Daniel would finish, but I think Daniel at the last like 100 yards or so, Daniel said that I should finish. He probably thought that it's my first race, so he
Yeah.
wanted me to feel uh get the feeling of finishing, and it was great. I felt pretty good. My well. It's kind of a weird feeling because usually when you finish a tri or like a marathon or half marathon, whatever, the
Yeah.
legs are tired.
Yeah, but it was the
And
opposite.
it was the opposite. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. But for me, the difference in doing and this is called a marathon swim. So a marathon swim versus a half marathon and a marathon run. Do you feel like how did you feel like you had way more energy because the water's like holding you the whole time? Like, you know what I mean? Like where you're on land and you're running, it's all you against gravity, you with
Mm,
that impact the whole race, right? So can you compare that? You know what I mean? You said your arms were definitely more tired, but
yeah.
overall fatigue, was it better? You know, even though you swam like so long?
Um, I was pretty energized the afternoon. Well, I
That's
was
what I'm
tired
saying.
and but I could still walk around because my legs were okay.
Yeah,
But I think definitely not swimming the whole time
helps.
was different from like when you do a solo
Right.
it's like two persons versus one person
Yeah.
it's like a huge difference,
Yeah.
right? So
Having that break allows you to swim faster for each
yes,
segment. So those 20-minute efforts were way faster than if you had swam 8 miles straight, right?
of
That's why
course,
I love doing that race as a relay. And it's a really great training day if you ever want to do an Ironman because you're swimming twice the distance of an Ironman and you're having a higher intensity, right? For each leg
uh-huh.
of the race. And you're also getting, to practice in the conditions of maybe waves and jellyfish, which can happen during an Ironman race. So that's cool. Well, awesome. So I know there was anything else from your oh, injury. Let's talk about that because you did come up with some shoulder pain, and this makes sense, right? This is the longest you've ever swam in your whole life. And swimming is such a repetitive motion sport, right? You're just using your arms and shoulders so much. Typically, people don't get many hip or maybe low back stuff a little bit because you're horizontal. So, what did you learn about the importance of like strength training and PT and just, having that team support to get the job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think before training for this long swim, my strength training were all kind of, well, like not top priority. Because I always find it hard to find time to fit it in and have three sports to do and but then after I started training for swim and I had this shoulder injury, um strength is actually like top priority. Um with PT and the targeted exercises, actually my pain was at first it became like it maintained, right? Then become worse. And then later it just got better. Like it just went away. And on the race day, it was like completely pain-free. I did not have any pain on the race day.
That's
So that was
amazing.
great.
Yeah, that's also a testament to your technique, right? So when you have proper technique, and we did do a lot of video analysis to make sure that your technique was so good, I will tell you that's a big prevention to injury. But the repetitive overuse movement, you have to have strength. It's just your joint just gets too lax, and you start to use muscles that maybe you're not supposed to, more of your neck, more of your shoulder rather than your lat, right? So that was really, really key. And every time I would get the ping that you were doing your strength training and Training Peaks, I was like, yes, like she's gonna totally overcome this. And I remember you actually texted me, can I still do the race? And I was like, yes, don't worry. You were like,
Yeah.
right? You were like, oh no, like this is gonna set me back, right?
Yeah, actually it's surprising how much. I mean, I always know PT would help, but it was still surprising to me how much just strengthening, having target exercise can overcome these issues, even,
Yeah.
and completely make them go away.
Completely away. So I just want to say, repeat that because most people, they do they're like sign up for a triathlon and they don't have help, right? They don't have proper help or guidance. And maybe their technique is poor and the repetitive motion, they come up with an injury. They go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, stop, don't do anything. You need to rest. The worst prescription you could ever tell someone because it's not true, right? You have to do the strength, you have to work on the mobility, and you have to fix the technique. And if you do those things, you can typically overcome any kind of pain that starts to arise. But most people ignore the pain, push through the pain, which I don't recommend, right? Pain is your friend. Pain is your body talking to you and telling you to pay attention to then do the work that you need to. And strength has to be part of that. So that was cool that you kind of figured that out. And now if it happens in the future that you can overcome that, right?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
cool. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I'm kind of sad to say that Yiming is deciding to move on from triathlon. Will you ever come back?
Temporarily. I think it was really great year that we
Yeah,
had.
we
And
did.
I really love the group that, well, I think when I was training for triathlon, I came to group exercises very regularly, and seeing everyone was very inspiring. No matter what level they're at, right? There are some beginners like I was. There are people who are racing sub 5, um, half Ironman, but they're all equally inspiring.
Yes. Yeah, our group is amazing. I love our group. So and everybody loves you, so make sure you say a proper goodbye and keep in touch and hopefully we'll see you again shortly. You're training for tennis now. That's your new sport.
Yeah, I'm learning tennis.
That's awesome. Well, we are wishing you well and we wish you nothing but the best, but I hope this is not the end and maybe you come back for maybe a half Ironman or yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
right? Okay. Awesome, Yiming. It was great to share with you. Have a great week. Bye.
Okay, you too. Bye.